Hello everyone, welcome to the weekly Pebble Penny coin video. My name's Mark. I run the Pebble Penny with my wife Catherine in Mawson Lakes in South Australia. This is the 36th time I've done this year. We're lucky enough to have Catherine join us last week, but she won't be joining us today. Well, what a week. It's been a tumultuous week. It's probably, I think it's fair to say, the biggest week in terms of visibility of Australia's coinage to the Australian public. Probably, maybe since the dollar coin came in 1984, it's probably bigger than that. But I think you'd probably have to go back to decimal changeover in 1966 to see a general awareness of our coins around Australia. And of course I am talking about the passing of the Queen. She is on the head side of Australian coinage and has been since 1953, and there's been many billions of Australian coins minted with her portrait on them, and I read before 45 different countries had her portrait on their coinage, which apparently is a world record. I'm not really going to talk much today about the market hype that there has been around royal themed coins this last week and this week. I think that's been well covered in the general media. They interviewed some dealers in Melbourne and some dealers in Sydney covering all of that, but certainly last Thursday here in the shop we saw a lot of royal themed material that had been hanging around for a while fly out of the door. People trying to snap that stuff up. I'm not quite sure of the motivation, whether it's a souvenir or to try and make a profit or whatever. I'm not 100% sure, but certainly there was a lot of interest last Thursday and Friday in that sort of stuff. Friday, I should say, not Thursday. So yeah, it has been a big week. So what we are going to talk about today, here we go, this is what happens when you're not set up properly. Here we go. So we've got the October RAM releases coming up. In the first Thursday in October, there's another AC/DC box set with 6 20-cent coins in it. They look like, well, actually I can't say what they look like. 5 of the coins will be available separately. The box set will have one coin that is only available in the box set. There will be a 1 ounce silver proof AC/DC coin, and then there will be 2 coins for the, now I'm going to get this wrong, I know it, I think it's the 90th anniversary of the Australian Broadcasting Company. There'll be a 20-cent piece and a 1/2 ounce silver coin. First Thursday in October for those. There has been a fair bit of postulation in the shop this week from many people who came in about a coin that might be released in November. I can tell you right now, we've got no official notification of any coin releases in November. So that's it. We don't know. We don't have any information that anyone else does. So if you are wondering if I know anything about coin releases in November, the answer is a big hefty no on that one. Right, let's just, before we go on to the next point, let's say hello to people. Hello Mike, Ben, Cherie, Chris, Peter, Tina, Greg, Ogie, Pal, Mick, another Mick, Peter, Aaron, Wayne, Val, James, Jason, Cam, Mike, another Mike, Leonie, Alicia. Alicia, by the way, was the competition winner from last week, who you might remember that we asked you to pick some themes for coins to list up on our website, and we had 138 entries into that, and Alicia was the winner of that. She's got a 1/2 ounce silver kookaburra heading her way. John and Jay, hello to everyone. It's great to see everyone watching. In the news today, the production of 1 and 2 cent pieces stopped 22 years ago in 1990. They were withdrawn because I guess commerce had moved on, and they suffered the fate, I guess, that everyone is expecting the 5-cent coin to suffer. And if there's any learnings to be taken from the ending of the 1 and 2 cent piece, if you want to sort of, I guess, take the analogy of the 5-cent piece, is that 1 and 2 cent pieces still aren't worth anything, and I think the same will apply to 5-cent pieces when they are withdrawn. Another thing that was in the news this week was the Australian Bullion Company, ABC Bullion, for I think the 5th year in a row, has released some really nice looking Diwali gold and silver bullion pieces. Now, I won't post up a picture of it because I couldn't really find a good one, but interestingly their press release and the coverage they got online is calling them coins. Of course, as far as I can tell, they're not coins. They've got a beautiful design on one side, but then the ABC bullion branding on the other side. So they are, I guess you could call them medallions or just bullion pieces. But I wouldn't mind getting my hands on them. So there's a 5 gram 999 gold example and a 999 silver 1 ounce example of those Diwali coins. I'm sure they're going to be popular amongst the Indian expatriate community here in Australia. Another coin related thing, and this is, I did have a laugh when I read this the other day, the Monza Grand Prix, the Formula 1 Grand Prix in Italy, was not accepting cash inside the race for food and drinks and refreshments. You had to buy tokens, and they were either physical tokens or digital tokens. And the reports I read said that some people spent 2 hours waiting to line up to buy the tokens, and then another 2 hours waiting to line up to buy their food and drink. So suffice to say, it wasn't a great success. And some reports that I read online said that the Monza Grand Prix might have been the worst organised Grand Prix in history of Grand Prix races. The fans were certainly not happy about it, and I must admit that I did grin about it this morning, because those of you who are Simpsons fans might remember the episode where they went to Itchy and Scratchy Land and bought Itchy and Scratchy bucks to spend inside Itchy and Scratchy Lands, and no one accepted them. And I was just wondering whether the Monza Grand Prix tokens were the same, but not. Right, so the Queen's passing. I was going to talk about fake bullseye errors this week, but probably best to just talk about the Queen's passing and put that behind us. Now, I would just like to say that everything I'm telling you now is just my opinion. I don't have any insider knowledge in any of this sort of stuff. I've just looked back at what has happened in the past. I have a background in sort of manufacturing, so I'm sort of applying a bit of an engineer's hat and things like that to what I'm thinking about here. There were a few people who took umbrage to some of the stuff we posted up last week, and if I caused offence, I do apologise for that. I didn't mean to. But there's no problem with disagreeing with me. I've got no issue with that, and if you do want to have a chat about things, I'm quite easy to get hold of. You can always just give me a call and have a chat. Right, let's have a look at some stuff regarding our coinage and the passing of the Queen. Now, the portraits that the United Kingdom use are selected by what's called the Royal Mint Advisory Committee. And periodically they hold competitions with sculptors and designers to produce new portraits, and then the reigning monarch gets to pick which portrait they're going to use. Now, it seems likely that the Royal Mint Advisory Committee has already done this and probably selected a portrait of King Charles III to use on British coinage, and typically Australia has followed the UK's lead, and we have selected either the same portrait or a very close variation of the portrait and applied that to our coinage. So, for example, the Jodie Clark portrait of Her Majesty, which was the last one we saw in our coins, was a modification of the the Jodie Clark portrait used in Britain. I know that the Royal Visit 50-cent piece, which has the unique Gottwald portrait on it, was approved by the Queen for use on our coinage here. So if we choose to follow suit after the British and we don't alter the design, then we will just go ahead and use that. If not, it will be submitted to the King, presumably, for his approval. Now, if you do know a little bit about how Australian coin designs happen, they're governed by the Currency Act of 1965, and the Currency Act of 1965 allows for the Treasurer to issue coins, and generally those coins are submitted to Parliament in the form of currency determinations, and the currency determinations give you a broad outline of the design that those coins are going to take. So for example, if you look back through those currency determinations when we had the series of 20-cent pieces with the old portraits on them, they were just described as portraits with the letters RM below or the letters JC below and that sort of thing. Presumably something similar will happen with the portraits of King Charles at some point. Now, I understand that the currency determinations are public, and no one has come forward saying that there is one with a portrait of King Charles on it yet, so presumably the Mint has not submitted that via the Treasurer for approval, but no doubt that will happen at some point. So currency determinations, that's the place to look for the new design to be submitted to Parliament. Right, now the next thing that has popped up in the press this week is the direction that Charles will face on the coins, because of course the direction that the monarch faces tends to alternate from monarch to monarch. And that dates back to, and this information here comes from an article that Catherine and I wrote about 10 or 11 years ago. This is a tradition that dates back to 1660, and funnily enough it dates back to Charles II. It seems rather appropriate that it dates back to Charles II, and they tend to alternate left and right with each monarch. Edward VIII, who was the Queen's uncle, who reigned for about 11 months in 1937, he was going to break with tradition and face the same way as his father, and we understand that was because he thought that was his better profile. Now it so turns out that very few coins were actually struck with his portrait on them, and when he abdicated in late 1937, his brother, who became King George VI, chose to keep with the alternating portraits, and as a consequence he was facing the same way as his grandfather. So even though it looks like they didn't alternate, they actually did, because of course there was a king in between who never had any coins struck with his portrait on them. So following on from that, you would assume that King Charles III will be facing left, because of course Queen Elizabeth II faced right. Now, I did create a bit of a slideshow this morning, which I gave you a sneak peek of before, with some alternating portraits there. So I tried to grab a portrait of every monarch dating back to Charles II, and you can see that, so that's Queen Victoria, that's the last one in the sequence that I chose to apply. So there's Charles II there facing right, and if we just watch through that, you can watch those portraits change shape, change direction. Now, Damien Wright has brought up an interesting point here. He's saying that Queen Victoria did not approve her Jubilee head portrait, which she felt made her look silly. It only lasted a short time, 1887 to 1893, when it was replaced with the veiled head portrait. So the Jubilee head portrait is the one where the Queen has the tiny little crown on top of her head. I didn't know that, Damien. Thank you for sharing that information with us. So this tradition goes back to 1660, back to Charles II, and generally the monarchs alternate left and right. Now, last topic for the day is the new coins, because of course there are going to be new coins. Firstly, you would imagine that old coins are going to keep circulating. Queen Elizabeth's coins will tend to be withdrawn, as they always were, as they become worn out and damaged. But I can't imagine that the mint is going to actively withdraw them, simply because of the cost involved in producing new coinage. The old coinage is still perfectly good. As far as I can tell through reading the Act, there's no reason why they can't keep circulating. There's no requirement in the Act that says that the monarch has to still be alive for the coins to keep circulating. And certainly, if we think back to when King George VI died, his coins were not actively removed from circulation. They did keep circulating right up until decimal currency in 1966. Already minted QE2 coins are likely to keep being issued. The mint is, from what I understand, several months in advance of the coinage requirements, and those things are stored at the mint and they haven't been issued yet. Now, when I say likely, there has been precedence in the past where the mint has destroyed already minted coins. 20-cent pieces from the early 80s are an example of that. But conversely, there's also been instances of the mint issuing coins many years after they were minted. So when COVID hit, of course, there were newspaper 20-cent pieces being issued. There were reject RAM rolls being issued. The mint, I guess, at the end of the day, is a business, and they're not going to throw money away just for the sake of it, unless there is, of course, some sort of legislative requirement for them to not issue the Queen's coins that they've already minted. That goes nicely into the next topic, which is next year's mint sets. Now, they are usually released in December, announced in early November, so that's less than 4 weeks away. Now, I would have thought that those mint and proof sets are already made. The coins are already made, and the chances that the mint can get a currency determination through Parliament, produce the dies, and then produce the coins for release in early December is slim to nothing. So I would say there is a very good chance that the 2023 mint and proof sets, and possibly the baby sets, will still have Her Majesty's portrait on them. That's my guess. So I probably wouldn't encourage speculating on already issued 2023 coins with her portrait on them, because I suspect there'll be a lot more. The Royal Australian Mint did say that 2023 is going to be the most likely time that we'll see coins with Charles's portrait on them, and that seems reasonable to me as well. Catherine tends to agree with that as well. Now, what I haven't mentioned is, of course, that the Queen's portrait is on the $5 note. I will freely admit I have no idea what is going to happen there. I don't know what the submission or design process is for banknotes, but you'd imagine at some point that is going to change as well. Again, I don't know if they have a legal obligation to destroy currency with her face on it, so it's all up in the air about that. Right, I think that's about it. I'm about queened out. Next week we will be talking about $2 bullseye errors. Definitely not talking about Queen coins anymore, I hope. Michael saying, nice information on Edward VIII breaking tradition, because he thinks that's his better profile, but funny since most of our faces are symmetrical, or you could prefer side and mirror image face the other way. Yeah, that's a good point. Look, Michael, if you're the king, you get to decide, I guess. And if he decided that he didn't like one side of his face and he preferred the other side, well, if you can't make those sorts of decisions when you're the king, then what's the point of being the king? And Mike is saying that modern technology will make it a lot quicker to change than in the past. And that's right. Mike Ellery is quite correct there. We would have had to wait in 1953 for physical dies to be shipped out from the Royal Mint in England and sent over here, and then be able to produce our production dies from those. Of course, now the dies would be produced from digital information. So once the Royal Mint has finalised their portrait requirements, that information could be sent digitally here to Australia, and then the dies created within a few weeks. I very much doubt whether that's going to happen this year, though, given all of the legal requirements around it, and the fact that the Mint produces so far in advance of what the demand on coins are. So yeah, I think 2023 is definitely going to be likely for coins with King Charles III's portrait on it. Right, that's it for today. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for your support in the last week and your understanding when we haven't been able to answer the phone. And for the people who have come into the shop and have been patiently waiting to be served because it has been so busy. Catherine and I do love what we do here, and we enjoy doing these videos, and you lot make it fun for us. Alright, thank you everyone for watching. Please take care. Happy collecting. Remember, collecting's supposed to be fun, and try to have fun when you're collecting. Bye for now, everyone.